Many thanks to WJR, who's doing their focus show. You'll see them in the ballroom after the program. And to Lawrence Technological University, who's always there with their video services. So thank you. We also are always pleased to have students here today and always, courtesy of our generous corporate sponsors. Their morning already included a private reception and a photo opportunity with Council Chair Sheffield. And I want to just take a quick second to recognize the students in the room. Please hold your applause. We've got students from Cody High School, thanks to Wayne State University, Renaissance High School, thanks to Fifth Third Bank, Melvindale High School, thanks to Barton Mallow, Northwestern High School, thank you to Ford Motor Company, and Kest Tech High School, thanks to the Rush Group. Give them a round of applause for being here. I just want to take a quick moment, too, to thank our corporate sponsors and partners. Make no mistake, we could not do what we do and deliver a program like today's without their generous support. So thank you if you're part of those organizations. Next up on the DEC's lineup is December 8th, when we'll host Mayor Duggan for his exit interview. You won't want to miss that. And watch your email for plenty more announcements. All right, the DEC's 91-year history tells the story of our country, state, and city. We've hosted Detroit mayoral candidates in 8 different elections. And I want to thank Council President Mary Sheffield and Reverend Kinloch for choosing the DEC, and here's why. You see, many organizations were vying for this opportunity, and it was important to both candidates to address the DEC business community. They recognize the importance of all of you in this room to the future of Detroit. So I would just ask you to please help the DEC maintain high standards of decorum by offering the candidates a respectful audience. I know you will, and by doing so, future candidates will choose the DEC once again. I also want you to know that since we are the Detroit Economic Club, the topics we're covering today will be matters important to the business community. Yes, social issues are very important, but will not include those today. All right, let's get this party started. You could argue the most important person today is our timekeeper, so let's say hello to my right, DEC Gold member Jay Arasano. Give him a round of applause. And now it's my pleasure to turn this over to our moderator. You know him because you're up at 4:30 a.m. on your Peloton, watching the WDIV Local 4 morning news, and you know him as the host of Flashpoint on Sunday mornings. Please welcome the DEC's good friend, Jason Colthorp.
Thank you, sir. Well, let's get one thing straight. While I know you are up at 4:30 every morning, we know it's because you're watching Rhonda Walker. It's the #1 running joke. We watch you every morning. By the way, tell Rhonda old Big Ed says hello. Yes, sir, will do, absolutely. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. It's my pleasure to moderate this with our candidates. I just want to give you the rules so you know them as we're going to run through with each candidate over the next hour here. Each candidate going to be on stage separately for 30 minutes. The DEC has selected 8 questions, all with a business focus to them. Each candidate will get the same 8 questions, 2.5 minutes per response, and they'll also have time for a 2-minute opening and a 2-minute closing statement. We did determine this by a coin flip, so let's welcome our first candidate, Council President Mary Sheffield. Good to see you again. Just did this on Flashpoint, so let's run it back. Yes. You know the rules. I do want to mention that when you 30 seconds, hit the chimes. This is what you'll hear. That's when you have 30 seconds to go. It'll sound a little different when your time is up.
Okay. Slightly different.
Pretty easy.
Slightly different.
Pretty easy to get to. Would you like to begin with your opening statement?
Sure. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here. Thank you to the Detroit Economic Club for hosting. As a native Detroiter, I've given my entire life to serving Detroit. 12 years ago, when businesses and people were packing up their bags to leave Detroit, I made a very conscious decision to step up and to serve this city. And for over a decade, I have dedicated my life to serving Detroit, leading with integrity, compassion, and action. Working alongside this administration, our current mayor, and my city council members on the council, we have made tremendous progress. We have improved city services. We've reduced crime. We've invested in numerous parks and recreational centers. We've allocated millions of dollars to beautification and infrastructure projects. We've paved the way for $1 billion being invested into affordable housing. And we've had record investments in economic development projects that have created hundreds and thousands of jobs for Detroiters. And so while I acknowledge the progress that we've made, because it does take real leadership to get things done, I also equally acknowledge that there's still far much more work to do. And that is why I am running for mayor, to ensure that opportunity reaches every neighborhood of our city and every family of our city as well. And to ensure that good housing, safe, stable, quality housing is available, that our educational outcomes for our students are improved, that our neighborhoods are invested in, and that safety is a right and not a privilege. And also that we are providing more support for our transit system in Detroit. So I'm prepared to get the work done. I bring a record of doing that, and I'm excited to make sure that Detroit continues to rise higher.
Excellent. Something I want to get out of the way right out of the gate, and this is more out of fairness, because I have a sneaking suspicion your opponent's going to bring this up. The Free Press dropped a story yesterday about donors that you have to your campaign that have checkered legal pasts. I'd like to give you a chance to respond to that article, and the question, I guess, being, are you okay with campaign donations from anyone?
So we have thousands of donors that donate to our campaign. We released a statement on this as well. Some of the individuals that were mentioned are upstanding individuals in this city who have actually donated to numerous elected officials on the city, state, and federal level. Some of them currently serve in positions and boards with the city of Detroit. And so I do believe in second chances. We do our best to ensure that we are monitoring the numerous donations that we have, and we are confident in what we disclose. We follow all of our campaign finance laws, and we will continue to do that.
All right. Let's talk about collaboration and accountability. Detroit's business leaders want to be part of shaping the city's future. How will you engage and collaborate with the business community to set measurable goals for growth, for inclusion, and city improvement? And also, how are you going to hold yourself accountable in that process?
Yeah, so we know that business needs people and people need business. And I don't think that it always has to be this divisive rhetoric between the two. We need each other in order for Detroit to thrive. And I believe that we also have a lot of work to do to ensure that we are cultivating a business-friendly environment in Detroit. One of the biggest issues that I hear in Detroit is that oftentimes the perception and reputation of Detroit being open for business is that it's difficult to get things done and that there's so much bureaucracy and red tape. And so I have been very clear that I would be a mayor that ensures that Detroit is the best place in America to grow and start a business. And so we want to eliminate as many regulations as possible, streamline some of our city processes to ensure that we're really fostering an ecosystem for businesses to be able to thrive. We know that when businesses thrive, they're providing the services that we need for our residents, whether it's housing or projects. And so we also want to ensure that our residents are making livable wages, that they're thriving here in the city of Detroit as well. And so we will continue to foster that environment to ensure that our residents are properly trained, that they're getting access to the jobs that are available, that we're investing in workforce development opportunities, and that the both are coexisting and that we're supporting both business and people.
Any specific names you might have in mind that you want to partner with, companies or philanthropists?
Well, all of them. I believe that, this next phase in Detroit is going to be rooted in strong partnerships with collaborating in partnerships. And so any good actors in Detroit that want to step up and contribute to the numerous priorities that Detroiters have laid out, whether it's neighborhood investment, better housing, our educational system and workforce development, transit, we will be willing and ready to work with them to figure out how we can all work together to better the city of Detroit.
Hold those thoughts on transit. Detroit's economy has made progress, but still faces challenges, as you've alluded to, attracting and retaining employers. Business owners often cite that bureaucracy you mentioned as barriers to doing business here. Be specific and tell me how you're going to streamline the process to reduce the red tape and make city more competitive for that investment and that job creation.
So we've already started this. There was just recently an ordinance that was approved that I sponsored with my colleague called Making It Easier to Do Business. And we essentially cut several license requirements that were needed in the restaurant industry that reduced the time to make changes to that site by about 6 to 8 months. So we've already laid the foundation for restaurants. Now we want to be able to use that same model and move it to different uses of businesses throughout the city of Detroit. So we will continue to study best practices, what other cities have done, and again, look at ways to reduce regulations and streamline the process. We also want to ensure that we create a business investment fund. We know that access to capital and technical assistance are usually the top two issues that small businesses have here in Detroit, and as much as we can do to ensure that they have access in the ecosystem to support them is what we will do.
And part of that, obviously, is getting those workers to the job site.
Yes.
Let's talk about transportation, a huge issue for workers. Many of them tell us they want better options out there, and many easily can't get to those jobs and have a reliable commute, which really is a hindrance. What's your plan to improve mass transit in Detroit?
So I always say the most pressing issue in Detroit right now is that individuals in our city who ride DDOT, the timeliness of the system must be the number one pressing issue that we have to address. Now, we've made tremendous progress. We've invested $150 million in the Coolidge Terminal facility, the Jason Hargrove facility. We've made major improvements within DDOT, but we still hear on the ground that getting to and from a place of business or to work still takes a long time. And so my number one objective as mayor is to continue to drive down wait times and make sure that our service is efficient and reliable. Outside of that, we've been partnering and talking to entities like Bedrock and the Gilbert Foundation about providing microtransit and shuttles to supplement some of the services that we currently have now. Overall, the bigger vision, of course, will be a regional approach, which we can look at how we can explore or expand M1 rail and other ways that we could have a more robust regional approach to transportation in Detroit as well.
Many employers cite workforce readiness as a big barrier to growth. What specific steps do you think you can take to align Detroit's workforce training, the education, and the talent pipelines with the needs of local employers and emerging industries, things that are coming online just now?
Yeah, so we have the Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation. I think we have to do a better job at ensuring that when it comes to workforce development, that everyone is not working in silos. We also have to ensure that we're taking workforce development centers back into our neighborhoods so people easily have access to workforce development opportunities. And then oftentimes what we hear from employers are the three issues or the three barriers to workforce development is housing, it's transportation, and it's childcare. And so we have to better address both employers in the city, the barriers that are preventing some of our residents from actually getting access to these opportunities. And so we will continue to push and work with our employers in creating those pipelines, also working with our unions to ensure that we're pushing skilled trades within our schools and apprenticeship programs and really connecting all of these amazing entities that are working together so that everyone is not working in silos, but is more strategic and coordinated to ensure that our Detroiters are put to work.
You know, the guy with the chimes would like to do a little work today.
Okay. We're speeding through.
Expeditious, yes. Public-private partnerships clearly making a difference in Detroit's downtown. Some neighborhoods have also benefited from the Strategic Neighborhood Fund, and others still lag behind, even though that's happening. First, do you think the Strategic Neighborhood Fund worked? And how would you ensure future development is both inclusive and balanced to spur that economic opportunity across all parts of the city?
So I definitely think that it was very helpful. It brought investment, strategic investment in certain corridors of our city. I think it was about 7 neighborhoods in which they invested in. And I am extremely interested in continuing another round of strategic neighborhoods. We have to figure out how we can revamp it and, of course, improve it and make it better. I've had conversations with some of our private sector entities who are interested in figuring out how we bring that back into different neighborhoods and corridors of our city. I know that neighborhoods are the central focus for most of Detroiters in our city. And I believe that what is most important is that we start with our vacant commercial corridors and figure out a strategy on how to activate those, bringing retail to our neighborhoods and allowing that to be a vehicle to spur economic development around those particular areas. And so we will ensure that in each district, we're engaging the residents to figure out, hey, what do you want in your neighborhood? Is it a grocery store? Is it a restaurant? Is it a daycare center? And begin to actively and aggressively market the neighborhood based on the needs of the community. Housing is a priority for me as well, and so taking some of the vacant land that we have in Detroit and using that as an opportunity to develop infill housing in Detroit will always be a priority for me. But most importantly, we want to understand the needs of each district, and we will do that by ensuring that we are engaging on a district-by-district level.
Staying on that small business, how would your administration support those entrepreneurs you're talking about that might move into those neighborhoods and the small business owners, particularly in those underserved communities, so they can not just get open, but stay open and thrive?
Yeah, so this is where the Business Investment Fund comes in. We have programs right now through the DEGC, Motor City Match. We've supported roughly 200 new businesses opening up, and thousands of businesses throughout the city have received support, technical assistance through that program. But as you mentioned, it's one thing to open up. It's another thing to be able to stay open. And so we want to ensure that we have the ecosystem from technical support, access to funding, through a small business office that will provide that ecosystem to support our businesses. Oftentimes what we're also hearing is that there's not enough support around scaling existing businesses in Detroit. And so we'll build upon the current programs that we have through the DEGC, but then also build out new programs based on the need of our small businesses.
Detroit's future growth depends on attracting and keeping young people who want to live here, want to work here, start their lives and keep their lives here. What's your vision for making Detroit that kind of city, a destination, and what you need to do and what you need to see from the business community to be able to make that happen?
Yeah, so attracting and retaining our youth is a central focus of mine. And oftentimes when we see young people leave Detroit, they oftentimes leave for opportunity. There's a great paying job somewhere else. The cost of living is better. They have good transit and housing. And so it goes back to us fostering an environment that creates Detroit as a destination city. And I think in order to do that, number one, we have to reduce property taxes in Detroit. They are extremely high, some of the highest in the country. And it's a barrier to growth, economic growth, because businesses won't come here because it's not cost. It does, from a financial standpoint, it does not make sense. And also it's a barrier to our residents as well. And so we have to address structural property tax reform. We also have to ensure that we're investing in neighborhoods. In order for families to come back and live here, our young professionals have somewhere to live as well, too. And so we have to ensure that we're investing in our neighborhoods. We talked about transit. We talked about education. I think these are the things that young people need in order for them to see themselves here in Detroit and for Detroit to be a world-class and destination city.
Detroit also has strong roots in manufacturing, mobility, but there's also opportunities now in tech, sustainability, and the creative industries. What industries do you foresee as the future of Detroit, and how can you support them?
So I know we've, traditionally been known for automotive, and I think one of the things that we have to be intentional about is diversifying our industries. And I think we are doing a great job looking at New Lab and Michigan Central Station, and being able to attract emerging industries from all over. We have a thriving creative economy in Detroit, healthcare, alternative energy, advanced manufacturing. I think we should keep our eyes open and not just really rely on one industry to drive what Detroit is known for. And so I think that is also a part of how we grow our population and attract young people, is that we have to diversify the industries in which Detroit is known for. And so my office administration will be very intentional about ensuring that we're attracting a diverse range of industries to Detroit that pay good paying jobs to ensure that we're increasing the incomes of Detroiters and retaining our population here.
Well, I'm starting to think you have a 12:30 conference call to get to. We've cruised through our questions. You have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Okay. Well, closing statement, I will just say, again, thank you all for being here. I truly believe that the future of Detroit is rooted in the strong partnerships and collaboration between each and every one of you all. I have been here on the ground, whether it's in the community, boots on the ground, connecting our residents with resources, or passing meaningful policies. Programs like Right to Counsel that has kept families in their homes, or created the city's first ever legacy business program that has provided technical and grants to our long-standing businesses in our city. We've accomplished a lot. I still believe that there's more work to do and that the best days are ahead of us. And together, working with you all, we will ensure that housing is affordable, that our educational system is improved, that our neighborhoods are walkable, and that safety is a right, and that all of the foundational, issues are addressed so that we can build a world-class city that I know we all know Detroit is. So I thank you all for your support and looking forward to partnering with each and every one of you all.
City Council President
Thank
Mary
you.
Sheffield, everybody. Good luck on November 4th. Thank you again. Good to see you. All right. Half the program, just like that, knocked right out. How about that? Are you okay? Are you good? Do I need to get you a pop or something? Because, I mean, you hit the chimes one time over there and just... so this is kind of our family feuds part here. We keep the other candidate in the dark with the headphones on and all that stuff. And one candidate leaves, the other one comes in. How's everybody doing today, by the way? And everyone got a chance to say, hey, good afternoon. Who's ready for lunch after this? This is the point. If you're the second candidate, it's a little dicey because you know now you're getting hungry. And it's like, these answers better be good. As we, again, thank the City Council President. All right, let's welcome our next candidate, as determined by the coin toss. Please welcome Reverend Solomon Kinlock Jr., everybody.
Down through the years, the Lord's been good to me. Down through the years, I know the Lord's been good to me.
It's a long walk. Keep the music going.
The Lord been good to me. Let me tell you that the Lord really been good to me. Oh,
I definitely feel like I'm at Triumph Church all of a sudden.
had me bound.
Good to see you again, sir. Good to see you. There's that microphone is yours.
Good to me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
This is an interesting time. I never heard this song.
Hold that right there. Yep.
Yeah.
You just hold it tight. There you go.
You turned it into a sanctuary today, huh?
It wasn't. I think you chose the walk-up music. I'm guessing.
I don't
No. We could have had some other good stuff. Reverend, the DEC has a tradition with a 91-year-old set of chimes. You're going to hear the first chime with 30 seconds to go in each of your answers. You have 2 minutes for each answer. That chime will sound like that. Now, if you use up that's with 30 seconds to go. If you use up the entire time of your answer, you'll hear. Very, very good. Yeah, he's been dozing off on me so far. We have the same questions that we just asked as the City Council President, but first, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
As I sit here today, I'm reminded of Alice in Wonderland as she came to a fork in the middle of the road. And she had a conversation with Cheshire the cat, and they asked the question, where do you want to go? And she was asked, where did she want to end up? She didn't know where she wanted to end up, and the response was, if you don't know where you want to end up, then it really doesn't matter which way you go. Detroit is at a pivotal point. At the end of the day, we have a poverty rate that's the highest since 2017. We have the majority of our children, and we have to open our eyes to that. The majority of our children in our community are living in poverty. We have the second highest violent crime rate in the nation, and 3 out of 4 people are struggling to find affordable housing. At some point, we have to admit that institutional politicians have failed us, and we have to step up and stand up and do it for ourselves. For 27 years, I have been doing that. This is not an addition to what I've been doing. This is an extension of the work that I've already been doing. And as I seek the position of mayor for the city of Detroit, I will continue to do, because if I can do that with a church from Southwest Detroit, just think what I could do with the 11th floor.
Let's start with collaboration and accountability.
Yes.
Detroit's business leaders want to be part of shaping the city's future. How will you engage and collaborate with the business community to set measurable goals for growth, for inclusion, for city improvement, and how will you hold yourself accountable on those results?
Well, it's something that I've already been doing. During COVID, I didn't wait on anybody else to stand up. I partnered with Mike Fresh Market on 7 Mile and Livernois. And when we were wrestling with food scarcity, we were allocating $50,000 to $100,000 every week to buy groceries to give out to thousands of families. And so when we take children out to 6 Mile store and give them exposure and experience, and when we've kept people in their home by paying rent and utilities, that's not something that we just started doing collaborating. That's something that we will continue to do. Our Office of Philanthropy will be the excellent way in order to get that done, because we have some of the greatest philanthropic and corporate partners in the city of Detroit. We will continue to leverage that, not making sure that we're not just giving money, but we are using the money to make substantive and systematic change. The second thing is interesting that you talk about accountability, particularly right now when there's the cloud hanging over my opponent that is just coming to the forefront. When you're seated at the table and over $60 million of contracts are being given out and you're not disclosing conflict of interest, that is a reminder of where we just came from, and we can't go back to nothing that looks like that.
The partnerships you mentioned, going forward, any names that pop out that we should know about, like big names, big corporations you'd like to partner with if you're mayor?
I mean, we already see them at the forefront. Just look at what Kresge is doing over in the Marygrove district with the school and with the community. That's just a start. We don't just want that to be the end all. That should be what we see multiplied throughout the city and throughout the districts.
Let's talk about the economic growth and competitiveness. Detroit's economy making progress, but still faces challenges, attracting and retaining employers. Business owners often cite the bureaucracy as barriers to doing business in Detroit. How will you streamline that process to reduce red tape, make the city more competitive for investment and for, more importantly, job creation?
And we have to remember those are things that could have been done. Those are administrative items that could have been done far better and far more by now. And so that's one of the things we would do, is make sure administratively we make it easier to do business in the city of Detroit. Also, we have to make sure that we're using the tax captures and the incentives that we make available to big developers, to those small developers, by launching a local hire initiative, by prioritizing businesses in our community that hire local residents and keep them employed Listen, we got 38,000 small businesses in the city of Detroit. Just imagine if those 38,000 small businesses just hired one person. That's 38,000 jobs. That is one of the largest job growths that we would have seen in recent time. And we got to make sure that we're giving them the low interest loans and we're giving them the tax incentives in order to accomplish that, in order to get that done. But we will prioritize those small businesses through the procurement process, give them extra points and give them bonus in order to engage in the bidding process so that they can score better if they're hiring Detroit employees.
As we know, for those workers to get to work is also a barrier we've talked about. Transportation for both workers and the employers. Many people can't easily get to those jobs, and that's a struggle for businesses trying to find workers and who can reliably get to work. What's your plan to improve mass transit in Detroit?
Well, that's a can that we've been trying to kick down the road a long time. The Kinloch promise will continue to work with not just local, but state and federal officials and stakeholders in order to get that done. But what we can do is we can jumpstart rapid bus transit, because we have citizens that work along these corridors. We can make sure that we jumpstart that. We can get it started by jump-starting Gratiot, Grand River, Michigan Avenue, those areas that are routes for the multitudinous number of residents to make it to the metropolitan area.
Are there anything specific within the transit system you think is not working right now that needs to be fixed or improved?
Well, we went 20 years without even making sure that our drivers had competitive pay and our employees at VDOT had competitive pay. So we've done much, but we still got a lot to do. We got to do work on the vehicles, making sure that we have reliable transportation. We got to make sure that we're retaining our employees that work at VDOT so that they're not using it as a training ground, going somewhere else to find employment. And we got to make sure that the drivers, the employees are safe, but most important, that the users, the riders, are safe as well, and making sure it's ADA accessible.
Many employers cite workforce readiness as another barrier to growth. What specific steps will you take to align Detroit's workforce training, the education of those employees, and talent pipelines with the needs of the local employers of emerging industries?
Well, one of the things I was asked, why are we waiting so long and so late? these are things that we should be addressing in our educational school system. We need to start early to making sure that we have prepared workforce. We shouldn't wait till development show up in the city of Detroit and then start preparing our workforce. We need to make sure that we start much earlier by partnering with the school district, partnering with apprenticeship programs, skilled trades program, partnering with our external institutions in order to make sure that we're providing ongoing continuous learning opportunities to make sure that when development come into town that we are prepared to give our people those opportunities. People are leaving this city, and the reason you got a black middle-class flight out of this city is because they can't find opportunities in this city. We've got to change that.
Public-private partnerships have clearly made a difference in Detroit's downtown. Some neighborhoods have also benefited from the Strategic Neighborhood Fund, and others still lag behind in that regard. First, tell me, do you think that Strategic Neighborhood Fund worked? And how would you ensure future development is both inclusive and balanced, spurring more economic opportunity to all parts of the city?
The only time you have people complaining is when they feel like the tools have not been used. When you look at all that has been done and poverty has gone up and not come down, the reality is the tools have not been used inclusively enough. That's why Solomon Kinloch got in this race, because no matter what room you put me in, the majority of the people in this city are not as fortunate as most of the people in this room. And we need to use those tools to make sure that we're making it more inclusive, not to just downtown and certain parts of the town, but making sure that they feel it throughout the whole town. And that's what the Kinloch administration would do with the Office of Philanthropy, making sure that we coordinate all of our foundations, because many people in this city are already doing exciting and great things, but we need to make sure that it's moving the metric. City council should be doing like Congress does, having public hearings in order to make sure that what they're doing is actually working and moving the needles. You need some third-party experts and objectives opinions to come in to say what you're doing is actually working.
Accountability.
It's dangerous when you start grading your own tests, because when you start grading your own tests, you fudge it with the answers a little bit. And we need to make sure that what we've been doing, I'm not suggesting that good things have not happened. I'm just suggesting it ain't good enough. Not when you're talking about 80% of the people don't feel engaged.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit, dive into that a little bit more with small businesses. We know how important they are to neighborhoods. How would your administration support entrepreneurs and small business owners, particularly those that want to move into underserved communities, to start, grow those operations, but also survive once they get open?
Making sure they have access to the same relationships and resources that big business have access to. When you think about the number of small businesses here, making sure that when they come downtown, they're able to get through the administrative process. Secondly, making sure that they have access to funding like low interest loans and tax incentives and abatements and credits for hiring, for purchasing properties, using the tool like the land bank, that when they're trying to expand, purchase, and set up, that they have access and they get priority for doing business in the city of Detroit, and making sure that we are partnering with them with workforce training in order to make sure that we're mentoring the next generation of people that we need to continue to not just survive in the city, but thrive.
Detroit's future growth, we're talking about population growth now, depends on attracting and keeping the young people who want to not just live here, but work here, build their families here. What's your vision for making Detroit that kind of city that people want to come to and stay in? And what do you need from the business community, by the way, to make that happen?
Well, the business community is not just a partnership that is desired, it's needed. With all that has happened and all that is going to happen, we cannot afford to be adversarial. We have to come together and work together to build the city together. And at the end of the day, in order for that to happen, we just got to make the people in this city feel more inclusive to that. We got to make sure that quality education in this city is a top priority, that people are on a path to career and college. Secondly, we got to make sure that our seniors can live with dignity and live in safety with a peace of mind. We have to make sure that we're investing not just in downtown and certain parts of the town, but the rest of the town. We have to make sure that we are bringing crime down substantially and substantive in a way that the people in the city feel safe. And we can leverage our business in order to come together with private and public partnerships. No one is suggesting that we need to tear any business down. We're just saying that we need to lift the citizens up with it. I'm not trying, I know that my opponent and them want to make me boogeyman and say I'm trying to take somebody's chair away from the table. I am not trying to take somebody's chair away from the table. I'm just trying to make sure that as we move forward as a city, that we're making sure that the citizens have a place at the table.
Let's talk about, we've talked a lot about what's already here and what we're trying to save and improve, but let's talk about what's next. Detroit with strong roots in, we know, manufacturing, mobility, opportunities in tech, sustainability, and creative industries. What industries do you see as the future of Detroit, and how can you support those?
Advanced manufacturing, life science. You know, we were going down the road to entertainment when we were doing studios that was trying to get jump starts in the area. We can continue to talk about black tech, logistics. Black tech is a great example of industry coming into the area. We can talk about logistics. There are so many opportunities, not only that we can attract, but the ones that are already here, just making sure that the people here can participate and be trained in order to get those opportunities. You can't have a city where people feel like they got to go somewhere else to get a chance. We got to make sure that they understand that Detroit is the greatest place to live, work, and to have life.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we breezed through those questions again. Look at that. You have 2 minutes again for a closing statement if you'd like it.
As I started off saying in my opening statement, I got into this race because I know how it feels as a child to live in this city and people suggest that it's coming back, but you don't feel it. I know what that feels like as a child. And the question I raised today, does this city still have a heart? Because to have 51% of the kids in this city living in poverty, and we say that we're doing well because some of us are doing well, is a missed opportunity to really bring about substantive change. They were not talking about affordable housing before I got in this race. They were not talking about, and even if they were talking about affordable housing, they were not talking about it in a way that addresses the affordability of the people that live here. They were not talking about the food deserts that exist in this city. And even if they were passing by it. At some point, we have got to stop talking about it and put a mayor in that seat that understands it. Now, they talking about he doesn't have the experience. Well, they've been coming to me for the last 27 years for my judgment and counsel and my endorsement. And so since they can't get it done, it's time to let one of us that they've been coming to get it done. And I'm Solomon Kinloch. I'm not backing down. I'm not giving up. I'm out to lift every block.
Well, hey, look at that. Well done, right on time. Reverend Solomon Kinlock Jr., everybody, good luck on November 4th.
Down
Appreciate it. Good to see you. Good to see you.
The Lord been good to me.
And with that, I'll turn it back over to your host, Steve Gregorian, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, fascinating, fantastic. Thank you again to both candidates. We send our thank you and wish them both success this coming Tuesday, an important election. So thank you guys again. I want to say thanks to Jason for a job very well done and great ad-libbing. Looking forward to having you back at the DEC. Thank you. Now, we didn't put this guy to work, but we still should give a round of applause to J.R. Asano, the best timekeeper ever. I don't know if you earned a lunch, though. I don't know. We're going to have to take a look at that. We'll roll the tape again. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for investing your time with us today. We invite you to join us immediately for a strolling lunch in the ballroom right outside those doors. But first, tell your friends and colleagues to join the Detroit Economic Club. We're a bunch of really cool people. On time, every time, and sometimes early. This meeting of the Detroit Economic Club is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.